Welcome to the Parsha Perspective. Each week, we will delve deep in a weekly Torah portion to find a practical and insightful way to enhance your daily life. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Rabbi Shalom Yamini, and each week we will look into the weekly Torah portion to find practical and insightful ways to enhance your daily life. This week's Parsha Perspective is in honor of our homeland, Eretz Yisroel. May Kadosh Baruch Hu, may God continue to protect our brave soldiers, and may God return all the hostages from Gaza immediately. This week's Parsha Perspective is in loving memory of Edward ben Efraim, Shlomo ben Edward, and Yirachmiel Daniel ben Gedalia. May their souls be uplifted, and may their memories be a blessing. This week's Torah portion is Parshas Veschanan, the Living Bond. Before I begin, this Shabbos has a special name. It's called Shabbos Nachamu, the Shabbos of Comfort. Its name comes from this week's Haftarah, the first of 7, in which God comforts the Jewish nation after our pain and suffering. The prophet Yeshayahu assures us that God has not and will not, heaven forbid, forget his people. The Haftarah begins with Yeshayahu proclaiming to the Jewish nation, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomer Ha'alekechem. Comfort, O comfort my people, says the Lord your God. May we feel and know this comfort and reassurance along with the return of our hostages and witness the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days. Our Parsha begins with Moshe Rabbeinu continuing his final address to the Jewish nation. He recounts how he pleaded with God to allow him to enter the land of Israel over 515 times, but God refused his request. Instead, he was told to climb a mountain and to see the land from afar. Moshe urges the Jewish nation to cherish the Torah and treasure its wisdom. He reminds them that they are God's chosen nation, the only people whom God revealed himself to. To seal this truth into their hearts, Moshe Rabbeinu repeats the Dibros, the 10 Commandments, affirming that God's covenant with us at Har Sinai is eternal and unbreakable. However, a question comes to mind. Right before repeating the Dibros, the 10 Commandments, Moshe Rabbeinu declares that God did not make this covenant with our forefathers, but with all of us who are alive here today. And this is striking because the bris, the covenant at Har Sinai, was nearly 40 years ago. Most of that generation had already passed on, and so the question is, was Moshe speaking to only those who stood at Har Sinai and were still alive, or to the new generation who has not been there, yet now prepared to enter the promised land, the land of Israel? Rashi, Rav Shlomo Yitzchaki, the leading Torah commentary, gives a simple explanation. He explains that Moshe was not excluding the previous generation from this bris, from this covenant. Rather, he was telling the people that this bris at Har Sinai was not only made with those physically present at that time, but also with their children, also with their descendants. The giving of the Torah and the Torah's revelation to us was not a one-time event limited to the men, women, and children standing at the foot of the mountain. It was extended forward, binding every Jewish soul that would ever live. Even though most of those standing before Moshe Rabbeinu had not personally witnessed the giving of the Torah, they were equally bound, as if they had been there themselves. Moshe wanted them to feel the covenant in the present tense, not as a story inherited from the past. The giving of the Torah was not simply an historic moment to be remembered, it was a living reality that needs to be accepted anew every generation. And this brought them into the bris, into the covenant, with the same immediacy and the same responsibility and duty as those who stood at Har Sinai 40 years earlier. However, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, gives us a deeper and more profound explanation. And he writes that the word Hayom, today, means that the bris, the covenant, is always alive and immediate. A Jew must never think that the Torah was given one time and now exists as a treasured relic. Spiritually, Har Sinai happens every single day. The bris, the covenant, is renewed every time a Jew studies Torah, performs a mitzvah, or strengthens their bond with God. And in this sense, Hayom today is not about a calendar, but about consciousness. Moshe Rabbeinu was awakening the people to receive the Torah anew, with the same awe and clarity as those who received it the first time. And this is not just a message for those entering the land of Israel, but for every single Jew in every place and every moment. Even those who had not stood at Har Sinai in body were spiritually bound because all Jewish souls are interconnected across generations. Each Jew's commitment and faith is linked to those who came before them and those who will follow. The Rebbe teaches us that this is the essence of the Jewish identity. This covenant, this bris, does not depend on personal memory or an historical experience or even an individual's merit. It is the unbreakable essence of who we are as a people, a bond that is part of the soul itself. And this means that every Jew, no matter when or where they live and stand, are and were at Har Sinai in a spiritual sense. Each of us carries within us the same truth, the same calling, and the same eternal connection to God that was revealed on that mountain, on that Har Sinai, and now we are called to live it forward, to be that light to a dark world. The Rebbe's profound lesson is ever more relevant as we begin the 7 weeks of comfort leading us into the new year. The bris, the covenant that Moshe Rabbeinu spoke of, is not just memory, it's our reality today. Each of us is being called to stand at Har Sinai again, to hear God's voice as if it is the first time, and to live with that clarity of purpose. As we enter the new year, we are given a chance to renew our commitment, to deepen our connection, and to take our place in the mission of our people. And when we do, we prepare not only ourselves, but the entire world for the ultimate redemption and the coming of Mashiach. In our daily life, it is imperative to realize that the limits we see are often the ones we place on ourselves. We tend to measure our potential by past experiences, forgetting that every new challenge offers an opportunity to grow in ways we would have never imagined. Progress really comes from staying in the familiar. It comes from leaning into the uncomfortable and taking the next step even when the path ahead is unclear. Success is not about the perfect conditions, it's about constant effort and the willingness to keep moving forward. The moments that stretch us are often the moments that define us. When we approach them with determination and openness, we discover the strength we didn't know we had, and we accomplish far more than we ever thought is possible. There's a profound quote that I once read. What you stand for in silence will speak louder than a lifetime of words. Have a great weekend and good Shabbos. Thank you for tuning in to the Parsha Perspective. Check out our website, theparshaperspective.com. Send thoughts and comments to theparshaperspective@gmail.com. Till next time, thanks for listening.